and one person's like, what is this crooked-nosed honky? Why is this crooked-nosed honky talking about Ariana Grande? And these people would just like tell me I had a crooked nose, and then I would like look at pictures of myself.
Like, do I have a crooked
I'm like,
nose?
I wait, and I didn't realize it at the time. But and someone's like, what is this like great value Owen Wilson doing? And I was just like, oh my god, I have a crooked nose.
Look at me.
I think I like got hit in college, and
Look at me straight. It's a touch.
Like look at my teeth. Like my teeth are not centered.
Yeah.
Like they're like off, I think, or somewhere.
Your face is screwed
Yeah,
up.
it's screwed up. No, it is screwed up. The Love in the Land podcast.
We have tens of listeners.
No, thousands. Millions.
Well, 0 at this point.
That's true. Nobody's listening except us.
Yeah. So what's up, dude? How are you doing? You've been all over the country. And before we get too far, my boy Sir Yacht, Joey Kinsley, I like to call him Mr. Boat.
Yes.
And you can see him all over the place. You're huge on Instagram. You're huge on TikTok. You're huge on X. Can we now get to the point where we can say, or you just call it Twitter still?
No, I will never call it X. I will never, ever call it that.
What's annoying in news is that we have to say in every script, oh, so-and-so said this on X, formerly known as Twitter.
It's so annoying.
That is really annoying.
Well, it's because you have to teach your parents like what X is. They know what Twitter is, but you're like, what's X? And it's Twitter. Yeah, I just say Twitter. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of any of the branding they did.
Yeah.
It's just stupid.
Speaking of branding, you've been able to brand yourself pretty well, with the whole Sir Yacht persona that you have online and then out in the community.
Thank you.
But your name's Joey. We're in full disclosure, we're decent friends.
I'd say very good friends.
I'd say we're very good friends.
Yeah.
And I have to because I call you Joey. But then, like, sometimes when I'm talking to my wife, I'm like, oh, yeah, like Joey, this or that. And she's like, who? I'm like, Sir Yacht.
Yeah, but you never call me Sir Yacht.
I would never call you Sir Yacht.
It's Mr. Boat.
And Mr. Boat. Do we tell the Mr. Boat story?
I was at your bachelor party, and I just got, let's just say I got demoted to Mr. Boat.
So, yeah, the PG... it wasn't really that bad, but I have a really close group of friends, and we were... And shout out to Joey, too, because you went from Cleveland to like middle of the nowhere, Indiana, probably like a 5.5, 6 hour drive.
I got in a car accident in Louisville.
And you got into a car accident on the way there.
I was stressed.
And then just maybe did a little bit too much bachelor partying.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And
your brother was making, I think, skinny margaritas or something, and they were delicious. And I had I had a handful of them, more than you could fit on a hand.
Yeah.
And I had to throw out my Tommy Bahama shirt off the boat because it was covered in previously drinking alcohol that may have been regurgitated.
So, yeah, Joey had such a poor performance the first evening of my bachelor party that my friends were first calling him Mr. Dinghy. And then the second day, you got re-promoted to Mr. Boat.
That's because I didn't drink the second day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like I feel like I'm in like like a bottom tier of like the Premier League. So like there's the Premier League and then there's like the League One, League Two. And I feel like I'm doing enough to maybe get back into the Premier League to be called Sir Yacht, but then there's always something that happens that just keeps me at that Mr. Boat level.
You'll get there. One of my questions too though is how did you crown yourself Sir Yacht? Because the way that I found out about you was listening to Pardon My Take with Barstool, and they were like, yeah, this random guy, Sir Yacht, we're going to go off him. And I think it had to do something with like the Baker injury or you just had some ridiculous fact, I think about the Browns or something like that. And you were like, yep, this is my direct report. And you were like totally making it up, but that's how I first looked at you. And then I like looked you up and I was like, oh, he's like a Cleveland guy and like just getting started. I don't even know if like the pandemic had really hit or maybe it was like a year into the pandemic or something like that. But yeah, how did you first pick up the name Sir Yacht? Because it is kind of a random name.
It is such a random name. Yeah. I think when I was in college at Ohio Wesleyan, my junior year, I was making music and it was just like, I had a name that I just didn't like. It was really bad SEO.
What was it?
It was Paradise. Like it was just Paradise, but one word. But then there was like maybe 10 artists that had that name, and I was like, this is a dumb name.
Yeah.
And I was like rapping also, at the time. I'm like, this is so dumb.
Let's be real. Like, I love Cleveland. Many people wouldn't put this in the Paradise category.
No. Well, neither is Delaware, Ohio.
Yeah.
It has gotten better. I loved my 4 years there, but yeah. So I wanted like a name that was searchable, and I wanted people to know that wasn't an artist or a band. I was an artist. So put the Sir in front of Yacht, flowed, and then when the ladies call you Sir Yacht, that kind of, and by ladies I mean like a handful of like 4 people of like a sister sorority.
For sure.
Saying, hey, you changed your Instagram name to Sir Yacht, so we're just gonna call you that. I'm like, okay. I'm getting like 100 views on like SoundCloud plays, like, you know, I'm a big deal.
Dude, look at you, man.
But yeah, I started making content right when the Browns went 0-16. My friend Tom Ramella, shout out him because he's the reason I'm making content now. He's like, you should make a rant on this because I was just so mad. I'm like, no, I don't make videos. He's like, dude, I feel like it would.
Sure.
I don't even know what that. I'm like, I don't even know what this is. I don't know, what's a Twitter video like this? Anyway, so long story short, I make a rant about like the best locations for Hugh Jackson to jump into Lake Erie because that was his thing. Like he would jump in if they weren't.
Yeah, they had like a charity or something. Yeah, I remember.
They jumped in June. It was such BS.
Yeah,
it was.
It was a cop out.
Yeah, but like they attached a
Hugh
charity
Jackson
to
to also screw up a cold plunge.
Yeah, it was such a tough scene. And they wore their shirts. It was just brutal. But yeah. So anyway, it did really well, and it got on like SportsCenter Snapchat like the next day, which was like New Year's Day 2018. So it's like the best day to do it because it's like first day. It's when your resolutions start. So I'm like, I'm just gonna start making videos about the Browns and Cleveland sports and like a bunch of random stuff. And yeah, it kind of just like snowballed into what it is today.
So that was 2018?
Yeah, for New Year's Day 2018.
And you were still working, correct? What were you doing? You were in like a marketing kind of sales position type deal at the time?
I had a pyramid scheme job before that, but I was in
What were you selling, like knives, door to door?
No, it was like insurance, dude. Like any job out of college. Yeah, I was actually right down
Were you
the
a
street.
Northwestern Mutual guy?
Yeah, I didn't say that. You did, but anyways, you can look at my LinkedIn. Actually, I deleted it.
The amount of people that I know from high school that I'm like fringe friends with, and then they call me and they're like, "Hey, buddy," it's like I haven't talked to you for 10 years.
Dude, I was getting those "Hey, buddy" things while I was working for them.
Are you serious?
I was like, dude, look at my LinkedIn. I literally work for the same company as you.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, I have
full disclosure. I also do have a policy with Northwestern Mutual.
I do too. No, I had a call with my guy yesterday. No,
Yeah.
they're great. I just have some questions about the way they run things. But yeah, so I was doing like inside sales for a company and with electronic manufacturer parts. I don't even know. Clearly wasn't good at my job if I don't even know what I'm talking about.
But just like a 9-to-5 job though.
Yeah, and then marketing after that. So the marketing job kind of transitioned into content. But yeah, nobody ever really liked that I did my content on the side. Because I would do it during work or like lunch. Or like one time my boss came in and saw that I was, I jumped into like Lake Erie and I got on like CNN. Like I was like on CNN's like top 10 like articles like on their website.
Really?
Yeah, and my boss was like, "What's up with you and like being on CNN?" I was like, "Oh, I just jumped in like here after the Browns won." He's like, "Let's not do that again." I was like, I literally did it like 2 weeks later. I was like, I'm gonna keep doing it.
That is an interesting thing that I've never really thought of with content creators because at that time you didn't have enough of a following and maybe thought process that this could be your career. Maybe that's something that you like wanted to do deep down, but to do this and do it full time and to do, you know, especially some of the shenanigans that you do, I'm sure some employers would not be pumped about that.
Oh yeah, and I'm not like a PG creator. I would say I can be PG when I work with sponsors.
But you're not
and
like
that,
X-rated by any stretch of the imagination. You know, there's a few cuss words thrown out there,
especially on Sundays. Don't check my if you don't like swearing, don't check my tweets on a Sunday. Especially when the Browns are playing.
But, oh man, I had a
or the Buckeyes now. Honestly,
I unloaded at the TV on that fourth down.
Were you saying run the effing ball?
I was like, why do I like this team? And then they come up and win, of course.
Dude, you have definitely an interesting football fandom career because you're an Iowa football fan.
I am.
You probably were a Chicago Bears fan or still are.
Yep.
And are a Browns fan.
So I have the worst football fandom.
Iowa's so fun to watch because they're part of my take talks about them all the time. But
because they're the most boring team ever. They're so vanilla.
But they have a really good defense and they
do, and a really good punter.
Their punter is amazing.
And I think our kicker's pretty good this year. Leave it to Iowa. But like right now, like we're like tight end you know? We have
always have been. Yeah. And Kinnick Stadium is my favorite place to go see a college football game.
It's awesome.
I still believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is an awesome atmosphere because people in Iowa, there's just like a different level of care because they don't have anything because there's no pro sports team. The only thing close to a pro sports team is maybe there's like a minor league hockey, but then like the AAA Cubs affiliate.
Or like the Iowa Chill in like Des Moines or something.
Yeah,
which I don't even know.
I've
what they
never
really
even heard
do.
of them.
Yeah, they're like a hockey team.
Yeah.
I don't know. I passed it when on my Capitals trip.
So yeah, like I mean, growing up in Rockford, Illinois, I was a Chicago fan, and then yeah, obviously Bears fan, and then I moved here, and I couldn't imagine living in a city where I wasn't invested or even a fan of the team that you lived in, you know. So I was like, okay, like I want to go to a Browns game, and I went to my first Browns game was that Jets Browns game after the 0-16 year, that Thursday night game when Baker came in.
That was an all-time game to
and
be at.
I was hooked. I was like, this is unbelievable, and yeah, they sucked me right.
I was here. I was downtown for the Cavs game when they won in 2016, won the finals, and it felt like it was the same thing, which doesn't make sense because they won a game for the first time in like 20 tries or whatever. But it just, but I was going to West 6 to meet up with friends after, back when I frequented West 6, and it was just I couldn't even like to get an Uber there. It would have taken an hour, and it was like a $100 Uber from like the stadium. So and that's like a half mile, but like walking there, it took like 40 minutes because it was just so congested, so bottlenecked. After winning a regular season game, like it was crazy.
It was nuts, and that was like the closest thing. I mean, I remember kind of like taking a step back and being like, "We didn't win the Super Bowl. We won a game."
But that was the Super Bowl. It felt like at that point, it felt like, which is why it's so weird. Like looking at that now and then looking where the team is now. Yeah, they're 4-2, but like, it just.
That wasn't that long ago,
but
it's
5 years ago.
Yeah, but it seems like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, it just seems like. It is very difficult to be a Browns fan. I couldn't imagine rooting for a team that doesn't give me mass anxiety on a weekly basis. But it is entertaining. It's the best show on television, in my opinion.
It's always interesting. So here's something, bringing up the championship. Who do you think is in the best position right now at Cleveland sports to win the next championship? If you were going to bet money on it, who do you think would win?
So I'd say the Guardians are third. I would say.
But it's like last year, if I would have asked you that question, we probably would have said potentially the Guardians.
I thought they were going to win the World Series, especially since this was Terry Francona's last year.
Yeah.
I think everyone was like, oh, but they looked so good in the playoffs last year. And
Speaking of boring, they were the Iowa of MLB last year.
They were boring. Miserable.
They were boring.
Yeah, they were really tough to watch. And then I would say the Browns are second. But I feel like if they have a quarterback that actually plays the game, like PJ Walker is off the practice squad. A lot of people want them to trade for Jacoby Brissett. I would personally love that. By the time this podcast comes out, they probably will not have done it.
Yeah.
So we'll just forget that I said that.
We'll do two cuts. Oh darn, they didn't get him. Or yes, hey, can you believe that they got Jacoby Brissett? I can't
believe they got that one guy who was a veteran quarterback. That was crazy. And then I would say the Cavs are number one. I think they've added some nice pieces. Of course, the Bucks had Damian Lillard. I don't think any of them are necessarily close to winning a championship, but I think the Cavs hopefully they'll make a leap up, an improvement this year.
They're definitely like a leap and maybe like one piece away.
I feel like they're always one piece away.
I know,
it's just LeBron. That's the piece.
That's the piece. Yeah,
it's LeBron.
But at this point, like, would you want LeBron back in this team?
Dude, I would love LeBron in this
would you?
team. Yeah. Everybody last year's like, we don't need LeBron. I'm like, yes, we do. Yeah. Like, we need somebody like him. I don't know. I'm excited, though. This season starts, today's Tuesday, so tomorrow they play the Nets. It's just always fun. Like, Cavs games are just very, very fun. It's just a good atmosphere. They do a great job, so I am excited. Yeah, I would say they have the best odds. I don't know. Putting the Browns at 1 feels like a bad omen.
Sure. All right, we've gotten totally off a tangent here, but I want to go back to you talking about your career. When was the moment that you were like, I can leave my job even though were you nervous leaving your job?
Oh, yeah. I held on a lot longer than I probably should have because I didn't want to not have health insurance or like benefits or whatever. Yeah, I was.
But that's a leap of faith. How did you come to that of wanting to take that leap?
Yeah, so I really started to gain a following.
At that point, how many followers did you have about?
Well, in the summer of 2020, I started making TikToks. I got really lucky because my first Twitter and TikTok videos both did really, really well.
Yeah.
In the summer of 2020, I think I had like a couple 100,000 followers, and I was like, okay, when I get to like 250,000, I can probably go full time. Literally just made up a number. It doesn't even make sense.
Because were you making money on the side with these TikTok videos at all? Okay.
No, well, because at that time I was starting to make like comedic town promotional videos because I got invited out to Struthers outside of Youngstown by the mayor there to make a video, and it did really, really well. And then I went to Marietta and Amherst and Youngstown and a bunch of other places. And one of my friends, I remember he just goes like, dude, these videos are doing so well. Like these towns, like how much are you making from these towns? And I'm just like, wait, I can make money. I can make money off of this. Like I can do this. So at that time too, it like
light bulb.
It worked. Yeah, I had the light bulb, but it worked out so well because I had to go part-time at my marketing job because I was out in New York for 2 months. I was on Worst Cooks in America for 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And my boss was like, we can't keep you full-time because I'm like, yeah. So
like,
he like slashed my salary. And I'm like, well, my bills don't go in half. So like, I'm kind of screwed. So then I have this like epiphany moment like, oh, I can start charging people for towns for like content. So I ended up doing that and I ended up making more. I'm making more at my content than I am at my job part-time or even full-time.
And that's then or today?
That's like November of 2020.
And I don't want to get in the weeds with money, but it's just interesting, you know, about like, I think a lot of people sit here and be like, okay, how do these guys live? You know, like these, influencers or people that do stuff on TikTok and social media and things like that.
So like today I have like, I would say 90% of how I make money is like through I have an agent that brings in like sponsorships and brand deals. So people are like, so if, for example, I went on this Capitals trip and people are like, how are you, because this would probably cost like, I haven't looked at my finances yet, but I estimated that it's about 12 to 15 grand to do that whole Capitals trip, go around the country. And people are like, how can you just like go on a limb and do that? Well, one, I work for myself. Two, I had a sponsorship with Sheets that I knew about beforehand that I knew it was going to cover it. At least
like gas wise and lodging. Or?
Yeah, I made a couple of videos for them, so they paid me a flat rate. That went towards all that.
Sweet.
So which is
Did you get unlimited snacks?
They gave me
that'd be a huge move.
No, and they gave me like a $200 gift card though on top of what they paid me, which was cool. But they they're only in the Appalachian area, so I still had to go to other places. I can't legally say I went to other gas stations. But you do the math. I gotta guess somewhere. But yeah, so sponsorships and then like 5% like through apps like YouTube, TikTok, and other places now, and then 5% like miscellaneous.
Yeah.
Like drugs. Just kidding. No, just kidding. But yeah. So at the time I was just making like town videos and like I February of 2021, I get let go from my job. Because COVID, like I'm in marketing and nobody wants to pay for like advertising on our website. Because I ran like LoraineCounty.com. Nobody's paying because nobody's going out and nobody has marketing budgets. So my job essentially was like wiped out. So at that time I'm like forced. I feel like God was just like kicking me out of like the nest, being like, go and do this thing. Like
sure.
So I wanted to do it for a long time. I felt like it was really scary. But what I did was I would send like 40 to 50 emails a night, schedule them for the next morning at like an obscure time, like 7:12 a.m. because I wanted people to think like it was like a live email, not me, just like if it was just like 8 a.m., like
totally
it's like this is a robot. And this guy's name's Sir Yacht, like so it's just kind of a weird email. But yeah, I would send like 40 to 50 emails, schedule them for the next day to like towns, like visitors bureaus, chambers of commerce, like mayors, et cetera, mayors' offices, other states as well. One of my first videos actually was when I was in Louisiana, and like right after I got paid for doing 3 videos. When my girlfriend at the time that I was dating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just visited her and did 3 videos. But yeah, so anyways, I built up like a book of business, and then it started becoming a little more consistent. A lot of driving, not as much driving as I just did, but then I got hired by You Betcha in North Dakota in the summer of 21, and then did that for a little bit too.
Yeah, but I think what you kind of found earlier, either by you had to find this out or you kind of tripped into it, is that I don't think a lot of creatives figure out of like the boring stuff pays. And like, you know, I know that like you had a lot of fun going to these different towns and things like that, but that's not ultimately what you probably wanted to do at the time. But being able to find that and then roll it into some of the cool things that you did. Yeah, I do want to get to that. The Capitals trip. I mean, so earlier in the summer, I took a RV trip around Ohio. I was gone for like 4 days, and I went to, as far as I went was Cincinnati.
You did a lot though. It
was fun. Yeah. But like I was tired and I was ready to come home, and I was gone for 4 days, and I went to like not even Kentucky. I could not. I was watching your Instagrams, I was watching your TikToks, I was watching, on whatever it is, and I was like, dude, I am tired for him, and it is like 4 days in. What was the experience like?
Yeah, I think I'm still recovering. This is like 2 weeks. I got home 2 weeks basically from tomorrow. Yeah, I kind of knew what I was getting into because last year I went to there were like 13 cities across the country named Cleveland.
Yeah.
I did that in like a 10-day period. So I knew it was going to be a lot of driving, but I did way more on average this year. I think I averaged like over 500 miles of driving a day.
Jeez.
Over like a 30-day period. Besides like the 3 days I was in Hawaii and like didn't do anything.
Yeah. You did Hawaii for 3 days?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's a nice little vacation.
I did Alaska for 12 hours, which was crazy. I didn't see the sun, but the reason why is so I could have like an extra day in Hawaii.
You flew to Alaska?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I swam to Hawaii.
Nerd.
Comedy hour.
He makes money being a comedian, so everyone
these
has
jokes,
hope out here.
anybody can do it.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it was right off the gate. I went to like Frankfort, Kentucky, Nashville, and Indianapolis, and like kind of set the tone. And I felt really, really good. It was like a 10-hour day, but I was like, Nashville's great, Kentucky was fun, Indianapolis is a great city. I'm like, this is gonna be great. And then I get to Lansing. I'm okay. This is.
Well, then you're going on pure adrenaline too.
Yeah. And then you kind of get toward in the Midwest a little more, and like.
It's so
rural
boring.
Illinois is just not very fun.
From someone who grew up in the heartland of the country.
I went to your Loves in your dad's Loves in Rockford.
In Rockford, yeah.
Yeah, I went there.
I had a whole lie to people back in the day that my father owned Loves gas stations, but we probably wouldn't be living in Roscoe, Illinois.
Yeah, just a little bit. So it then started to be like I think literally like the second day in the evening, I was like, oh my God, I have 28 more days of this, and I'm like alone. And I'm always hungry, and I was just like, I was getting, there's just a lot, and then that was kind of just like how it felt. Like it felt like every other day was like a great day, like great weather, nothing like great cities, and like the next day like not great, a lot of traveling I didn't want to do anymore. There was like a stretch where I was going through like rural Texas. My mom happened to be with me at the time.
Yeah.
Saved my trip.
And like what, did you want, was that like a planned thing?
Yeah. She joined me for a few days. She flew out. My girlfriend, Kelsey, joined me for the final week. And then my friend, Tim, joined me for a few days before that, like all that. But for the most part, I was by myself. And there was a point in rural Texas. We're driving from like Tucson, Arizona. We drove from Phoenix to Tucson, and then Tucson to Austin, Texas, and that's like a 13.5-hour drive. And like people think like Ohio is like the drive from Columbus to Cincinnati. People are like, oh, it's like so bad. That's literally would have been the best drive.
That's a pretty
day.
good drive.
It's an unbelievable drive. There are no stops. There are no gas stations. There are nothing. I'm like It's like a Route 10 going through Texas is basically just meant for like truck drivers going from like country to country.
Yeah.
So it was just at a point where I literally was like, my mom's last stop was like Des Moines, and like I dropped her off at the airport, and I told her in Texas, I was like, I'm gonna drop you off at the airport in Des Moines in 2 days, and I'm gonna go home. Like I was like, I quit. I'm gonna quit.
Really?
Yeah. I was done. I was done. I was so depressed.
And this is how many days is in? I think I remember you posting a video, and I texted you, and you just like in your voice, I could just tell that you were just beaten.
Well, yeah, and it didn't make sense either because I'm like, I have to go home. It's not like I can just like stop and like I'll be home like in a sec. Like,
you still have to drive.
I still have to go home. So it didn't make sense. But yeah, it was like, and especially like the next day it was like Oklahoma and Kansas, and then Nebraska, and the next day. Nebraska wasn't that bad. Kansas is terrible. I'm not a huge fan.
It's just flat.
Nebraska was like the Taj Mahal in comparison. But I woke up the next day and I was like, all right. Just got through the worst day with Texas, but I thought the worst day was North Dakota. Driving through North Dakota,
sure.
Besides the western part, when you get more towards Montana, which is very pretty, it was like hell. It was not great. So there was a lot of days like that. But then there was also like Hawaii, which was fantastic. Alaska was really cool. Rural Oregon is like the most beautiful place I think I've ever been to in my entire life.
Really?
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Annapolis, Maryland is fantastic. Madison, Wisconsin, fantastic city. So there were a lot of really, really cool places like that. And there's a lot of cool people I met, and I would try to get like a souvenir at each spot that I got. And then we raised, the reason why I did the trip, obviously, content creator, trying to do fun things.
Yeah.
Trying to do some things. But also I partnered with NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. and I think the goal was like $50,000, and we raised I think a little over 10,000.
Yeah, that's significant though.
Yeah, which I mean, you could look at it and be like, oh, bummer we didn't raise 50, but like, I mean, it's not a bad thing that like it was just like $10,000 still goes a long way. And they also told me like the awareness is the most important part. So
Totally.
that felt really good, but it feels really nice to one, see you again because it's been a little bit,
Right.
but two, be here and not in a car all day.
Yeah.
That was exhausting.
That's brutal, and especially being by yourself. What was? Were you listening to podcasts? You got the music. I'm sure you're trying to watch like some movies. Like
Yeah.
YouTube TV is a huge thing. Pop it up there.
Yeah, it was like it was so difficult too to like watch Browns games because like they're not a national team.
No,
so,
yeah, yeah.
I have other than the Monday night game, I was flying to Alaska when Nick Chubb like tours like MCL, and I was like, well, this sucks. And then the Titans game, when they won, I was flying over the Pacific Ocean from Hawaii. So when I like scheduled all these dates, like I wasn't just like, oh, like a Browns game is gonna be here. I was like, oh, I'm gonna do like 8 to 10 hours of whatever today. I'm just gonna schedule. I had no idea when the dates were. It was really, really great setup by me. But yeah, I was over the Pacific Ocean for the entire Titans game where they smacked them, and I was just like, I don't know what the score is.
Yeah.
If they would have lost, like I would have been so nervous, and then I saw they crushed them. But yeah, YouTube TV. It's like music's tough because like I'll listen to it at points, but then you think like, oh, like an hour has gone by and because you listen to a bunch of songs, but it's just like 20 minutes.
Yeah,
You're
it's
like,
like, yeah.
that's brutal. So like, yeah, a bunch of podcasts was kind of my thing, and then I would literally just be begging everybody like that I knew, just like even people that I'm not even
Call
like
me.
I'm like loosely friends with. I'm like like random followers. I'm like, just call me.
Yeah,
Just please call somebody. Call me.
Was there a spot that you were like? Because I think I saw, and you were probably blowing smoke, but that you said that your favorite was Columbus, which obviously Columbus is a beautiful city, but we're privy to Ohio. Was there another like state or place that you were like, I could see myself living here?
Oh, living here? I don't know. The more I travel, the more I just am like, I'm in the right place. Like Columbus and Cleveland are great, but Annapolis was a really cool town. The Navy's there, and it just like there's only 40,000 people. It kind of feels like I don't know. It's like a very brick-oriented town, very clean, very.
You're a fan of bricks.
If you
Annapolis,
love bricks,
Maryland.
go to Annapolis.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the city's tagline.
I was bricked up for it.
Bricked up.
I'm just kidding. I did not say
Suck
that.
brick, kid.
Eat brick. What a wild phrase. Annapolis was really cool. I mean, okay, so if I could live somewhere else, Madison, Wisconsin.
Madison,
sure.
oh, dude, it's the best.
Dude, the people are so nice, and it's such a walkable city.
Yeah. You also went in the fall, summer.
Oh, yeah, but I've been to Madison and Milwaukee in November for a Wisconsin game, and then I went to a Bucks game. It's cold, but like I can deal with that. I don't know. I can deal with it here. Like it's not that worse up there, in my opinion. But yeah, Madison for sure. I would definitely live in. Like I told my agent, he lives up in Green Bay. I was like, I might just move to Madison one day. Like, I probably won't, but maybe I'll just get like an Airbnb for like a weekend or something. That place it's a fantastic city.
Get a lake house right there, right? They have. I was so jealous when I went to go visit there because like they have like their fraternities right on the lake houses.
Yeah, they tailgate when it's frozen over. They tailgate on that whatever that lake is called. I forget
the name of the lake.
Yeah, it's like it's a name you give a lake. That's all I could say really. I haven't had too much coffee this morning.
The Lake of Madison.
Yeah.
But I think something that, right now, it's like the number one thing that kids want to be is like a YouTuber, a content creator, an influencer. But I think what they see is the fun highlight reel of what like what you do. Because I think a lot of people in like their mind would be like, and probably what you did, of like, in theory, this would be awesome, going to every capital. And I know that there were highlights and there was lowlights of what you were doing. But what I'm getting at is that the fact of how much hard work, how much sacrifice that you have to do that is behind each one of these things. Shed a little light on just like how much work these things are. I mean, just even from my perspective of putting together like news stories, that is a challenge.
Yeah.
And it's way more time consuming than people think.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to compare myself to like an emergency like surgeon or something like that. Like that's there's some very difficult jobs, or like the restaurant industry or whatever. There's some people that do some very stressful jobs, and
but at the end
very
of the day,
much
you're an
appreciate
entrepreneur.
them. Yeah. I mean, but there are definitely some like I don't know. Everyone thinks it's just like not glitz and glamour, but it's just like you're posting videos and like that's kind of it, and like that's what people see. But there is definitely a ton of work. Like for the Capitol trip, for example, I'm waking up and I'm filming the entire day. But like you're on, like what it's like being on. It's like very draining. So I'm driving like 10, 12 hours a day, which is like stressful enough for like one day. Now compound that by like 30 times basically, and then there's a lot of bad drivers out there, and there's just a lot of things that go wrong on the road. I got a speeding ticket in Idaho going like 100 miles an hour over like an 80. I had no idea. I got pulled over for an hour.
Idaho?
Dude, they thought I was, so I'll get back to like the other stuff, but they thought I had my registration, I had my license and my insurance card, and they all had my parents' address on there because I had lived there for a little bit before I moved to Lakewood. And they all had their address, and I gave them my address now. So they like, why are there two different addresses? I was like, I just moved. My parents' address were all spelled 3 different ways. So they thought I was forging things. I was from Ohio. They thought my spare tire was low. They're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm a content creator. I'm going on all these trips. They're like, what are you talking about?
And also, I'm sure police just hate that.
They asked if I, they asked if I had cocaine. They asked if I had bodies. They had a sniffing dog come.
Are you serious?
I swear to God, dude. It was
wow.
For like an hour. Yeah, they saw these shot glasses that I had. I'm like, I'm telling you, like I'm going to all these places, and they're really cool after. But like for an hour,
did you show them like, sir, I am verified?
Yeah, I literally have it. I have a blue check mark.
that should get you out at least a little bit.
On Instagram and TikTok.
Out of any felony.
And I paid for one on Twitter. So. No, but yeah. So, anyways, there's stuff like that. But then I'm waking up. It's like you choose between like driving more or like sleeping or like they're just like. I was compromised on sleep the entire time, averaging like maybe 4 or 5 hours a night. I get up the next day. I put together like a video for like posting, which is like an hour. It takes like an hour and a half basically to like, do that.
And like editing is tedious.
Yeah, I got into like a good routine for sure. Sometimes it can be tedious, but yeah, it's weird because like you can combine it with like the stress of what do I do today? Like, how am I going to, because you got to, like, the goal of a content creator is to get viewership so you can pay for things. You can get sponsors to bring in. So, like, you ever have, like, bad days that kind of messes with you. And then, of course, there are people online that have a lot of opinions about me, which they are 100% allowed to have.
Yeah.
Some of them are warranted, which is fine. But then that kind of messes with you if you read into that. And then.
How do you deal with that? Because I think that is super interesting. Like, your persona is to be, and now that you've built this brand, is to be kind of a lightning rod on things, and have either a really harsh opinion on this or a harsh opinion on
and Twitter's
that.
A cesspool.
It is. How do you deal with just like the negatives of social media and hearing those things or people having this opinion about you? Because there's been numerous times when I've been like, oh yeah, I'm friends with Joey or Sir Yacht or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, that dude." And but a lot of people have positive things to say as well. And I'm like, honestly, if you just like met him, like you would know. But that's kind of the persona that you have online.
Oh yeah.
How is it? That has to be taxing to get verbally assaulted by someone on X or something like that.
Oh yeah, and I've met people in person that I've disdained online, and I'm like, oh, you're like an awesome person.
Totally.
But yeah, I mean, but again, like I totally understand why people feel a certain way, because I'll like say opinions, and Twitter, like I said, is a cesspool. So I'm like, well, if I say good things, I'm gonna get ripped anyways. But how I kind of deal with it is I just I have all my notifications off. I don't look.
Do you?
Yeah, I mean, I'll look at stuff sometimes, and it'll like sometimes it'll I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. But like for you, like I'm sure Facebook is like ridiculous.
Honestly, I thankfully the number one thing I get is like a middle-aged man being like, nice hair, loser. But like I've also gotten to the point now where like, and I do not have the following you do, nor do I necessarily like want that just because I'd like to live semi-private life. I don't know. But and congrats on all your success though.
Thank you.
But I've gotten very like block happy. It's just like, I don't care. Like even if someone just mildly annoys me more than like 3 times, I'm just like, life's too short. Like,
yeah. Oh, I agree. I mean, if they're like, I don't usually block anybody. If it gets to the point of like harassment and I see they have like 0 or 1 follower or something.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. They say to keep your enemies closer. Sometimes people really push ideas. Like there'll be videos I make. Like I made a video like top 10 most like obnoxious NFL fan bases, or like the most annoying NFL fan bases. And there are a lot of people that just said like nasty things. But A, I'm saying something bad about their team. B, they're defending it.
Yeah.
I would do the same thing. So it's like, well, these people are kind of pushing it. But then there's some people that are just like there's this one guy, he was always just like, your dad's a dentist and you live in your parents' basement and like they're paying for this Capitals trip. I'm like, no, that's not true at all. Yes, my dad's a dentist, but like, I don't.
But that's also
I
like
fund
personal.
Everything. Like I turned 30 in like 2 days. Like I'm a grown man. Like I pay for everything. Like I don't. Totally. I have also a lot of pride. Like I don't want to ask my parents for help, whatever. They've already helped me enough growing up. So anyway, so if it's something like that, like I'll block, or I'm just like, I don't see any value. But if it's someone like, if I put an opinion out online, like a Steelers fan is like, this dude's a clown, that dude's pushing my engagement to so many different Steelers fans. I'm like, at that point, like, okay, like it's not, that doesn't really hurt my feelings, like what he's saying. Like, and even if it did, like, probably deserved. If I'm saying
also
something
comes
with
the territory too.
Oh,
you know, especially talking about sports and things like that.
Yeah, I've learned that too. That you're in the. I forget who said it. Like you're in the business of getting criticized.
Yeah.
I think you are too. It's just,
to a degree.
Well, I think so. I mean, when you put yourself out there, you open yourself up to criticism. So at the end of the day, like I don't take anything personally anymore, unless my thing is if it's like a family member, or like a girlfriend or something, that's where I'm like, all right, this has to stop. But if it's me, I can handle it. But I've learned to kind of keep my like relationship life private for the most part. Instagram's pretty like not too toxic on like messages and stuff, so I post more stuff on there. But like on Twitter, like I don't post my girlfriend at all.
Yeah.
I kind of keep that like private. So if as long as it's towards me, for the most part, I can handle it. Yeah, there's one time I really had it. Like I kind of just like my first video for the Browns. Like after when I roasted Hugh Jackson or whatever, it did pretty well. Like several thousand likes, and then like I said on SportsCenter Snapchat, and then I had this like there's like high school kid from like he went to like St. Ed's or something, and it was like this dude is the most cringe human being I've ever seen in my entire life, and he got like 16 likes. And at the time, he was correct. Looking back at that video now, I'm like, this is very cringe. But at the time, I was like, damn, this. I didn't look at like all the positive stuff. Like 9.9. So I was like, I verbally said to myself, I'm like, in order, if I'm gonna do this, like, and see where this thing goes, because I was like, I didn't know like I'd be a creator at the time. I was like, oh, maybe it'll help me get like an acting job or like a radio job or something else.
Yeah.
I was like, I have to tune that stuff out and just not take it personally. So I would say I've gotten pretty good at that, but there are definitely days where I'm like, damn. You see a comment. Like,
you build up those calluses though.
That's a great way to say it.
For sure.
Yeah, I used to get into heavy battles with Stan Twitter, like Ariana Grande and like Beyonce stans in like 2018.
That's
and
great.
like I was like just saying stuff. I would just like mess with like Ariana Grande stans, and one day like, but they're good, man. They are good. They'll clap back. And one person's like, what is this crooked-nosed honky? Why is this crooked-nosed honky talking about Ariana Grande? And these people would just like tell me I had a crooked nose, and then I would like look at pictures of myself.
Like, do I have a
I'm like,
nose?
I wait, and I didn't realize it at the time. But and someone's like, what is this like great value Owen Wilson doing? And I was just like, oh my god, I have a crooked nose.
Look at me.
I think I like got hit in college, and
Look
like
at me straight. It's a touch.
But like, look at my teeth. Like my teeth are not centered.
Yeah.
Like they're like off, I think, or somewhere.
Your face is screwed up.
It's screwed up. No, it is screwed up. Well, then I was like, oh my god, like they got me so good. Like you can't, like they're hiding behind like Ariana Grande pictures, but like so they can say whatever they want.
Also,
they can be.
I know you're probably trying to boost engagement by doing that as a strategy, but it's also like at the end of the day, like who cares?
Yeah, and you're also. So, anyways, like you said, developing calluses and things like that. But yeah, you're fighting. There's a lot of like fighting losing battles with people that don't show their faces online, and they usually say like hurt people. So, I mean, but like, I don't take it personally. Like, if I'm saying something about the Browns, like I said something about Deshaun Watson the other day, I'm like, I don't know if he's the answer. Like, I just don't. Aside from everything else off the field, like, I don't know if he's the answer. And a lot of people that love Deshaun Watson take that personally. And I'm not going to be mad because I know that. Or, like, if I see something about the Steelers, or like, last night I said the 49ers are frauds, and my friend who's a 49ers fan left the group chat. I'm like, Okay, I probably shouldn't have said that to him. But you get defensive when you like are very supportive of something. So there's a lot of context. So
Yeah.
I, like you said, I think best way to say it is like kind of just build up calluses for it.
For sure. So, you went on the 50 Capitals thing. You have the Since '99 Browns quarterback interview thing that it's just probably like a prolonged series.
Yeah, they keep adding quarterbacks.
Yeah, but you've had a lot
Yeah,
of interviews. So,
I've done 9.
Yeah, now I've already this year you've added 2 more quarterbacks.
Yeah,
to
I've
your
done
list.
9, and they've added 2, so it's 36 total now since 1999. So that's exactly 25%. So it's a respectable. If you're on the Guardians, that's probably the best batting average on the team. Is a 250.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're batting 250.
I think
you're batting clean up.
Naylor batted 300 this year.
Jose Ramirez is close too, but you're in the top 4. You might be leading off at 250.
But what's next for you? What's the ultimate dream that you want to do with this? Because haven't been doing this for that long. About 5 years, but like full time 3, something like that.
About 3, 2.5,
but like, what's the ultimate dream that you want to do with all this? Where do you want to see it go?
I don't know. I feel like I'm honestly asking myself those questions now. Like, what's the purpose behind like making content? Like, I mean, I do it because I love it. Like, I have so much fun every day. I wake up and it's really exciting because I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, there are so many videos I've made that I'm like, I don't think it's gonna do well. That end up doing very, very well, and there are of course ones that I think are gonna crush that don't do very well.
That's
so
the
like
worst.
The
like,
the Capitals trip didn't do very well viewership wise, and I figured that out like the second day in, and I was like, that's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, but it didn't do bad, but it wasn't.
Sure.
I thought it would do a lot better, and just it just wasn't great. But I think I want to diversify as much as possible. I'm going 50-50 on like a food company. I'll make an announcement like in the next couple months or so. But I'm trying like samples and things like that.
What do you mean?
Well, I can tell you right now if you want to bleep it out.
Yeah, come on, give the people something.
So it's called the Ohio Chip Company. Like
Ohio Chip Company.
Yeah, potato chip. And the first flavor is stadium mustard.
Oh, I love that.
And there's gonna be I want there to be like a Buckeye one for like Columbus, and like a Cincinnati chili one for Cincinnati. But Ballreich's out in like Tiffin area. They're manufacturing. Then guy's name's Chris. He like owns a really popular restaurant in Tiffin called Madison Street Tavern. He has like seasonings and chips that are like Costco and things like that. So anyways, he approached me.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we
had a taste tester here. My photographer, Tim Coffey, is like the biggest chip connoisseur.
Tim isn't. That does not surprise me.
Yeah.
Tim
You know Tim. Yeah.
Tim is the greatest.
He's a big barbecue chip guy.
Tim is he's just the best. I love that guy.
I describe him as my crackhead uncle without the crack.
Yes. Yeah. No, you're correct. We have this like sauce too that we're doing. It's called Sir Yacht sauce.
I love it.
So they have like a sauce they already produce called Griff sauce, and then they just replace the buffalo they have in it with like sriracha.
Yeah.
So, anyways, all that stuff.
I wasn't surprised. I wasn't expecting you to talk about going into the chip game.
No, I wasn't either at this point last year. This has been in talks for pretty much the entire year, and I've just been trying samples and like talking about things like branding. But anyways, I'll announce that stuff eventually. But I want to like diversify as much as I can. I feel like I've done a good job at like the short form game. I'm gonna continue to do that. But it's just anything basically that like can challenge me and I can kind of grow with. I'm trying to develop like a new YouTube show as well, but I'm not the best businessman, so I'm trying to like not run out of money.
Yeah.
Because I blew a ton on Brown's quarterback things.
Well, I'm sure too it's hard in the position that you're in, because you're like, I want to make the, this is a huge example, but like the Mr. Beast stuff,
it's so easy to compare to with anybody like that.
Yeah. But then, just like, he's the Apple of influencers, where, it's like, then you have to look in like small businesses and things like that. But like, that has to be tough, because it's like, where do I stop my creativity, which is like literally your job. But then also, how do I maximize my creativity with the amount of money that I have?
The other thing too is like, we're going for very like high production stuff, and it like ran me pretty dry, to be honest. So now I'm like, and like, it's like the videos that I don't spend any money on end up making me money because they get views, and then sponsors come in after that. So I'm going now for like a very like low overhead, like lo-fi, like basically just filming on an iPhone, stuff like that approach. Some things like music videos and other things like big projects we'll still film. I have 2 videographers I like independently contract.
Yeah.
They still use their like cinematic cameras, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I want to develop like a YouTube show. I want to diversify. I eventually would love to like invest in other creators and things like that. But like, I mean, I don't know. I just did something I've wanted to do for such a long time, go to 50 capitals in like a 30-day period. Maybe not the 30-day period was like not something I wanted to do for a long time, but
that'd be like a good 3 month.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Probably the most frustrating thing was that you'd get to a capital and have to leave.
Yeah, especially if it was a good one.
Yeah.
You're just like, I mean, some of them had a lot of crap, a bunch of Tims running around, and it was just like, you're like, all right, I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of them you're just like, I really want to enjoy. But I want to do that for a long time, and I accomplished that. And I think it's just like, as long as I can keep this feeling like it's not a job,
yeah,
where I'm just like having fun and doing things like anything can really happen. I love challenging myself. I love putting myself out there and doing things that kind of like Yes Theory YouTube channel has like a saying, seek discomfort, and I just I like putting myself in this situation. So turning this into a business, it is a business, but like treating it more like a business, but also not. It's like a double-edged sword, like not making it feel like a job.
You can't be corporate. You can't sell out.
Yeah, exactly that too. And like, so it's also
because people notice that, and then you kind of lose the authenticity that you have. You know.
Yeah, and that's something I'm kind of working on right now. So it's like, yeah, it's like a juggling act for sure. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of actually going through that right now.
Sure.
Like what do I want to continue to do? I'm still thinking about that. So.
Okay.
To be continued.
TBD.
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 To be determined.
What drives you in doing this? You're talking about like, oh, like why do I do this? But like you continually do this, and we were talking not even just the 50 capitals, but just like you have to, if there's like a big event or like a Browns thing, you have to like hear that, get your phone out, and like you're kind of always on call essentially and film a video. What's something that what just continues to drive you, and why do you keep doing it?
Yeah, I mean it's about like always doing something. It's weird because it feels like sometimes I'm not working and the other times I am. Like some people, like I'll have my phone out and I'll just be like looking stuff up and I'm like, am I working or am I not? I can't really tell. What kind of drives me, I don't know. I mean, I think what drove me at first was like, it was cool to see like my first ever videos like kind of blow up and do really, really well. And I was like, you definitely get like some adrenaline, some euphoria from like people paying attention and liking your stuff and sharing it. Over time, you kind of realize that like it's not so much like that's like a byproduct. That's not always going to be there. You can't rely on that for happiness. It's more like, do I enjoy doing this? And I do. That's why I do it. The reason why I guess I do it is because it's just so fun to like press record on something, upload something, just like be creative, put something out there, make yourself look like a fool. Like I'm very much in favor of not being taken serious.
Yeah.
All my employers would like. So obviously my name is Joey.
Yeah.
It's not Joe. A lot of people want that. A lot of my employers would change my names on like emails like, no, you're going by Joe. I've never wanted to be taken seriously, and that's kind of why I keep my name Joey.
Yeah.
Because like I was always called as a kid. And I just don't like.
You're fun. I don't think I've ever called you Joe, nor would I think to call you Joe, because you just give off such a Joey personality.
I feel like Joe's such a serious thing, but then also. I've started to realize like a lot of people just like message really, really nice things. There's negatives, but there's so much like the reason I do it is because it's so positive. People like I was just at the Buckeyes and Crew game this past weekend.
Yeah.
People would come up and it's funny because like anywhere around the country besides Ohio, it's like nothing. Nobody really knows who I am, which is great.
Sure.
It's fantastic traveling. But like here, like it's a lot of people know who I am, and people come up and they say really, really nice things, and they want to take a picture or something, and like you just like absolutely make my day with everything. Like some people like I'm sure you get it too. Like I just go through a lot, and like in your segments, just like really help me out.
Yeah, those are the best.
And I'm like, doesn't that just make you want to keep doing it?
Or
like,
also helping out a small business too, because I mean I do a food series, and one recently that we did with. Sweet Pork Wilson's, and they were like, they just started, and they messaged me after the segment. They're like, dude, this was our busiest day, and it's like that's
so cool.
I love that. Like,
dude, it's the
that
best.
is the coolest.
I did a video on the Florence Yalls, the baseball team
Yes.
in Florence, Kentucky, and I threw out a first pitch like 5 days later or something like that, and they thanked me, and I was like, oh, for what, the first pitch? Like, no, the video you made, like, it did really well, and like our merch like tripled in sales this week or something, like exploded. And I was
That's
like,
awesome.
But that, like, I love hearing that stuff because it's like, of course, like I want to do it, and of course I want things to do well, and I have fun doing it. But it is really cool to have like a byproduct of like people like that really appreciate your stuff.
Yeah.
And like, not everybody has to. And I realize I do some pretty crazy things. Like I just did a video last week eating deodorant.
Dude, that was a rough one.
Which was, I mean, but like, that's why I'm like, if people say something stupid, I'm like, I can't defend myself.
How horrible did you feel after?
Well, you want to hear a story?
I do want to hear a story.
My phone died at the game, so I had to walk home. I went to Saucy Brewer. So no, I was on the phone with you. You know this.
Yeah.
I'm not, yeah.
Yeah.
You can verify this. You call me like, hey, what are you doing? You want to come to Tremont or something? I'm like, dude, my phone is at 1%. I'm about to go into Saucy. I'll try to find a charger. It dies. I don't find anybody with a charger. So I walk. It was a mile to Saucy Brewers, and I walked in there a little over 4 miles back to my
I also
apartment
probably
in Lakewood.
could have been more of a help to you. I apologize looking back on that.
Dude, I was like, I think you called and I pressed the red button by accident. But then I was like, I don't know if I should call him because my phone's gonna die if I call him.
Yeah, you don't want to waste valuable charge on me.
So I'm like, hey, but it was like a very quick conversation. I'm like, hey, my phone's gonna die. Like, you're like, okay, do you want me up here? I'm like, let me get charged and I'll call you. And of course I never called. But I walked home, and you know when I didn't eat. Don't eat deodorant. I didn't ingest it. I spit it out, but I'm sure some still got down. And after having deodorant, hot dogs, beers, Pepsi,
That's a rough one.
So anyways, long story short, it was like an hour and a half walk.
Yeah.
There's not really a lot of bathroom options on the bike trail back home. So
like the Mentos and Coke situation, you're just stomachs
my girlfriend
exploding.
was like, do you have IBS? And I'm like, no, I think I just eat a lot of bad things.
Yeah.
So anyways, long story short, it was not a very fun walk back, and it was raining too. But yeah, don't eat deodorant.
Yeah,
but
don't
like
do that.
I guess that's the thing. I was like, there are people that'll criticize me for that stuff, and I'm like, warranted. Very
valid.
Very valid. But then I'll do something wholesome to like, I really hate this guy because he eats deodorant, but he's actually not that bad sometimes. I'm like, fair.
Yeah.
So
take the wins and the losses.
Oh yeah.
And so speaking of first pitches, we got to talk about your Guardians first pitch, which I think that might be the most famous thing that you're known for now because it got on ESPN. They were talking about it on First Take. I mean, millions of views. If anyone doesn't know, Joey went up and did the first pitch and fell. But the question is, did he do it on purpose or not?
Of course I did, yeah. I always tell people, like, I'm not that athletic, and I'm not that. I played basketball in college, but it's because I'm tall. Like, I'm not, like, my high school coach called me deceptively slow. Like,
Deceptively slow?
Which is a great nickname.
That is brutal.
No, so we had a partnership with the Ohio Lottery. We had 10 videos to do with them. And we had one more video to do. I'm like, I want to end like this contract on a bang.
Yeah.
I love to renew. So I'm like, I want to show them that like, hey, like, let's do something really big. And I was like thinking of ideas. I'm like, what if I threw a first pitch at the Guardians game and just like fell and just like, it was like the worst pitch ever. So I didn't think they would approve it because I'm like, I knew they would announce like in partnership with the Ohio Lottery, Sir Yacht is here or whatever. And I'm like, I don't want the Ohio Lottery to look bad. Or, like, did they know behind the scenes?
Also, that's just like a little like sus.
Also, I found out my agent didn't tell him that I was going to throw first. I think he edited it to where I was like, throw first pitch at Guardians game. So I'm not sure if the Ohio Lottery knew or not. Because I had some people that came up to me from the Ohio Lottery and were like, did you do that on purpose? I'm like, I don't think you guys knew that I was going to do this.
Yeah.
So anyways, I find out while I'm dribbling a basketball at Cleveland State for 24. I'm doing a challenge where I'm dribbling a basketball for 24 hours. My agent calls me. I'm like dribbling with one hand. I'm like, hello, what's up? And he's like, hey, Thursday. This is Monday. Thursday, the Guardians said that you can throw the first pitch. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So it was just a really busy week. But and I went to Baldwin Wallace the day before, and this was like a day after they just lost in like the Final Four of like college baseball.
Sure.
And like there are a lot more Division III teams than there are Division I teams. So like being in the Final Four is no joke. Like they're very impressive. They had a great team. So I'm like, they're gonna give me some validity. Like I'm training with their pitchers and catcher and things like that.
Yep.
And I straight up told him, I was like, guys, just so you know, this is all for a facade. Like, I'm not using any of this stuff you're teaching me, so feel free to just like say nothing.
Yeah.
But I posted all that stuff, and then I went to my Rocky River High School. I went to Rocky River, so I went to the high school baseball field. I don't know if I should have done that because it was very clean, and they probably takes a lot of work to like, I don't know, maybe not. They just like raking dirt. I don't know. I don't want to like slight the job, but if it was a lot of work, I really apologize. But I was starting to train there, and of course these kids like filming me, watching me, because I'm like practicing falling.
Yeah.
Because I'm like,
because
if it looks fake, then I'm like, this dude's a moron. But if some people are like, did he fake that or not?
It was a good fake fall.
Yeah, I would say it's a good fake fall.
Yeah.
But I fell literally. I had like a huge mark on my like left thigh. I fell probably 50 times at the high school field, and then at my parents' like they have a good sized backyard. So the next morning I trained there as well, but I'm like, but there were points where I would like get the yips, where I just like whiff, and I would just be like, oh no, like I can't do this.
You can't do that, yeah.
So I was so.
And it's stressful. Nervous. Like I've thrown out the first pitch. It is stressful doing it.
Yeah, and I mean I did it the second time at the Florence Yachts thing like a month after, and like I threw like an actual first pitch. Yeah. And it was still stressful. They always tell you to throw a little higher because it's like a lot farther. I pitched in high school.
I threw too high.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I saw yours. Yeah, mine was too low.
They got
like,
De Los Santos, who like is the tallest guy in the team, made like an unbelievable catch.
They should hit like a cameraman on like the nuts or something like that, like some other people did. Or do mine.
It was going right for the camera. There was our camera was right behind it. It was going right for the lens. If you didn't catch it, it would have hit him.
Another thing I was really nervous about, I found out there was like, I thought it'd be the only one. I was really nervous because there's like, they do like 4 at a time or something like that, unless you're like Travis Kelce or something like that, or Austin Love. And I was like, I don't want to be like first or something. I was like 3rd out of 4.
Yeah.
I was just nervous because like, I didn't want there to be like, and now this person's throwing the first pitch. They just recovered from 6 weeks of chemotherapy after stage. I'm like,
yeah.
And I would be like, oh, I can't like be an idiot and throw this stuff. Like, fortunately, nobody had that. Obviously, like, fortunately, because like I want people to live, but also like I also don't want to be.
Also, like you don't want to outshine someone's moment. That like obviously it means something to us, but like with someone that's bad.
Oh, dude. Oh, yeah. Also, my dad was really mad when I did it. Not mad, but he was just like bummed. He's like, this is something like,
this is my freaking son.
Well, he's like, this is something people dream of growing up. He had a point where it's like, people dream of doing this stuff growing up, like throwing a first pitch, like going out there and like.
You technically threw it. You just fell.
Yeah. So I was like, I know, but then the next day he was like he's like showing me things that were articles. I'm like, I know. So that was my plan, is like, if I throw a really bad first pitch, like social media things might eat it up. So this is where people like when they call me a cloud chaser sometimes, I'm like,
it's kind of your job.
Fair. Yeah. Like sometimes fair. I try to not, but like that was at the detriment of me. Like, I felt bad for. I think Tyler Freeman's the guy who was catching. He's like a utility guy or like third baseman for the Guardians. Super nice, super nice. I felt kind of bad because I was like, he like just shook his head at me, but he was like really really nice. And the Guardians people, like, I think they kind of knew that I like didn't do a good job. Or they were just like, you fake it.
It didn't take like a personal investigator.
No, but it was great because I fell. And then I immediately hit the ground and like probably went like 100 feet away from like the mound. Like it wasn't even close. And I was like, in my head, I was so relieved. But then like you have to like sell it after. You have to be like this. Yeah. So I was just like acting so distraught. And then I went into like through the locker room, through the tunnel, like ready to go up. You're supposed to stay out there for the national anthem. So like the national anthem's playing. Everybody else like that was with my girlfriend and like videographers, they're out there. And I'm just like, I'm hearing the national anthem. I'm like, oh God, and I take my hat off in the tunnel or something like that. Yeah. But like, you're supposed to stay out there for the national anthem. I'm like, I'm sorry. I was like, that just really went bad, and I just had to get out of there. Like, it was just really bad for me. I'm sorry. I just had to get away. But yeah, so that was, and then, a couple people shared it from like live takes, like people that knew I was throwing the first pitch, and then Bleacher Report, like, our Cut 4, which is like MLB's like funny like video account or whatever, they posted it, and then Bleacher Report, and then First Take was talking about it the next day, and like a bunch of it just like blew up. And then people were like, I understand if people like, this is ridiculous, like doing the faking this is ridiculous. Some people like, this is real. But then some people are like, this guy's ruining like the sanctity of baseball.
Oh,
It's a sacred
Lord. The
sport.
baseball hardos. Yeah, they also hate the pitch clock.
Well,
they hate the bigger bases.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you mean like the game that's so sacred that the MLB accounts themselves are sharing it onto their social media.
Yeah, right.
Clearly,
yeah.
if they didn't think it was like the worst thing. But I mean, I understand. People say I can make it about myself and stuff like that. I'm like, I try not, like, honestly, what I try to do is like if I do anything like crazy or like stupid, I try to make it at the detriment of myself, or it's self-deprecating. I try to not do it towards anybody else. So I don't think it was like, and Jose Ramirez hit 3 home runs and they destroyed that game. So I don't think anybody really thought about it after that. But yeah, that was definitely. I was so nervous. I was really happy it pulled off. But that was one that I kind of stay off social media for a bit because like a lot of people were very.
Like vicious.
Even people that are like very supportive of me. There were a lot of, I would say it was probably 60-40 people in support of me. There was a lot of people that were not very happy.
Was it worth it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I would do it again if given the chance.
I love it.
I want to do it. I don't know if the Reds are going to listen to this, but
Reds.
The reason why I threw out a first pitch for the Florence Y'alls, I threw out like a good one, was because I wanted to do it again for the Cincinnati Reds.
And then you'll follow. Well, then you got to do something different though.
Yeah, it's like a front flip or something.
That'd be sick. Or take
Just
your
like
shirt
tumble.
off, like Bert.
Maybe I need to work out a little bit more. I'm going on like a diet right now because I'm getting skinny fat. Well, I just like I'm doing a bunch of I'm eating deodorant. Like that can't be good for my stomach.
Yeah, that's not good for you.
No,
And I took a B12 vitamin today, dude. I'll tell you, I feel so good.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, man.
I know. B12. I've heard of that. What does it do?
Energy, man. I just have been rocking and rolling all day.
Really?
Yeah, I've been up since 3. I'm just killing it.
I can't believe you
got a workout.
You get up so early.
Got a workout in today. I'm just doing great.
You know what I did? I woke up and I just came here. I drove from Columbus this morning. But I also woke up a lot later than you.
Sure. All right. Before we wrap up here, we got a few quick hitters here. Last meal in Cleveland.
What was the last meal I had in Cleveland?
No. What would be your last meal in Cleveland?
Probably Slimans.
Slimans? Oh, I love Slimans.
I've only had it a couple times, dude. I don't know why.
Do you want to get some Slimans after this? I love Slimans.
Yeah.
All right. Kill, love, marry, Guardians, Cavs, Browns.
Kill the Browns.
Wow, really?
I can't kill him, but you can't kill him.
Okay, but gun to your head, though.
I would probably marry the Browns, but it would be a really bad relationship and probably a messy divorce.
Yeah.
Love the Cavs, kill the Guardians.
You're rough, man. East side or west side?
Yeah, West Side.
Yep. And then what Cleveland legend would you like to have a beer with? Past or present?
Johnny Manziel.
Oh, dude.
Oh, can we do legend? We'll do legend.
You're going to get him off the... He's sober.
LeBron does LeBron drink beer? Let me think. J.R. Smith.
That is
I count him as a legend. I'm going to count him as a legend.
Yeah, won a championship. Yeah, we'll put
Henny legend.
We'll put J.R. Smith in that one.
Oh, dude.
Love it, dude. Thank you so much for coming on. Sir Yacht, ladies and gentlemen, Joey Kinsley. Feel free to call him Mr. Boat. Check him out at Sir Yacht on Instagram, TikTok, X.
Formerly Twitter.
And then also, didn't your thing change on Twitter because you got it taken away? Is it not?
Yeah, it's just Sir Yacht with like a underscore at the end.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
And then also YouTube as well.
Yes.
Where else can we get you? LinkedIn?
I do have a LinkedIn. It's just Sir Yacht.
Yeah.
But I just follow content creators and things like that there. I had like a previous LinkedIn where it was just like pyramid schemes. I was like, I hate LinkedIn. And now I love it because I made a new LinkedIn. It's just people I like. But Cameo, I do some stuff, and all the proceeds go to the Greater Cleveland Food Bank.
Oh, love that.
So I just like roast people for their birthdays sometimes.
Love that for us.
It's very fun. Yeah, so that's about it. Facebook too, maybe. I don't know.
Get roasted. All right. Check him out. Sir Yacht.
Thank you.
Thanks, buddy boy. Appreciate you.